Welcome back, everybody. Digital Chaos versus Immortals, game number 2. It was one hell of a game 1, as Immortals seem to always give us very hype game 1s, just like we saw on Tuesday. Managed to win the game, throw the game, win the game again, throw the game again. And then finally ended up taking the throne just in time before they could throw again. Honestly, I shouldn't say throw, though. Digital Chaos did play very well. Abed with that Razor was spectacular. And Bulba, as well as MSS, had some really good controlling initiations as well. But it seemed like, I don't know about you, Eosin, but it felt like, in a way, the game just got a little bit too late.
I really do feel like, as late as it did get, I still think that DC could have won that game. I think their late game is perfectly fine. The thing is just that initiation just wasn't there because they got caught out at the worst time possible. No one had buybacks. I think if they were caught out like that, but they still had buybacks, that game would have been dragged on much longer. And I think the outcome could have been a little different. But all it takes is one mistake at that stage of the game.
It probably Probably no matter how late it was, it probably could have always been won by Digital Chaos. But I think you do have to say, right, like the timing for Digital Chaos was definitely a lot better before the refresher and before the Aghanims on Night Stalker. It became so much harder to find good initiations unless Vareb bungles a Ravage or something like that. You know, it became so much harder to find good initiation against a clear vision hero with a potential double 6-second stun to drop on you or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely agree with that. That's a really good point. It's like, you know, Sven, he's really hard to deal with when that BKB is brand new, you know, 10, 9, 8-second area. It's always difficult to deal with them, but once it reaches 5, it becomes that much easier. But like you said, having the double refresher as well as the Night Stalker Ags kind of makes up for it. You know, he doesn't have to jump in until the very last moment when he sees that opportunity. So, I mean, I definitely understand that line of thought.
Going to a fresh game, though. Eosin, what do you make of the draft so far? First pick, Night Stalker, and a follow-up of Bat Rider to the Lich Earthshaker opening from Immortals.
I think if DC, you know, play it right and they have a good start, Night Stalker Bat Rider is incredibly hard to deal with. You can never really see much, and Bat Rider just has the easiest time finding ways to start a fight off. You know, you're all pretty much always going to find the right person to lasso or find someone who's out of position. So, I mean, it really comes down to how well Digital Chaos can ramp up to that level of farm and kind of take control of the game and the map.
Do you think Moonmander... Do you think he looked at that first game and thought that vision was a bit of an issue for them, and that's why he takes away that Night Stalker away from Immortals, and not even just that, following up with the Bat Rider as well, who is another kind of vision type, initiating type hero. It feels like in many ways that he's like covering or like overemphasizing a certain part of the drafts. And
I think it's very possible. Alternatively, you know, they probably also think that Night Stalker is very strong, and it's kind of like, let's just take it away from them, run it ourselves instead. But, you know, for the most part, I think it's just try your best to stay to your game, right? Don't worry too much about how your opponents are playing unless it really was something that was so devastating to your lineup that you just have to show it respect.
Our second line of bans now, the Weaver and Lifestealer, taken away by Digital Chaos, Death Prophet, and Terrorblade out from Immortals. That's very interesting to me, that Death Prophet and Terrorblade, like the thing that obviously links them is their explosive pushing power. So I guess I could see if you have a big vision advantage already on a team coupled with really good pickoff power, which is what the Bat Rider gives you, you get the right kind of pickoff And any kind of pushing hero is going to close out this game very quickly. So I could see the kind of the reasoning behind Immortals bans.
If they ended up picking Terrorblade, it's Mason who plays it, right? Or does Abed play that?
10 seconds remaining.
Good question. We've seen most of the games that I've been watching of Digital Chaos, they've been planting Abed in the mid lane, and then Bulba is just protecting him over and over again. But recently, it seems like they're switching it up a little bit in where Abed plays, in the regard that like he's kind of like Liquid in that he's always playing the harder carry of the positions, and Mason's always playing more of that 2 position. So I would actually assume that Abed's playing Terrorblade just for that reason alone. But obviously Mason plays Terrorblade quite well as well, and I don't know if there's any mid heroes that maybe Mason doesn't feel comfortable with.
It's just interesting to me because it seems like a lot of the other teams, namely Secret, actually, Secret definitely switches it up the most. Mid one is like capable of playing anything, but for the most part, you know, he's always going to be put on that Terrorblade type of hero if they do end up picking it. Otherwise, you know, they give him sometimes he's on DP, sometimes he's on Ember, and they do some really interesting things with their lineups. They've run like 1 position Enchantress, 1 position Broodmother. The off lane has gone into the mid lane before, and vice versa. And you know, they switch the safe lane with the other lanes as well. It's seems to be very common amongst teams now.
All right, a Nyx Assassin versus a Batrider, sure. And then a Viper picked up as well, as we've got only magic damage. Only magic damage so far in Digital Chaos. So it definitely feels like a good Viper pickup so far, but obviously with 2 cores still to be picked, Digital Chaos could definitely change their lineup quite heavily.
I think one of the things I discussed with Lyrical about these Night Stalker lineups, like how the best way to play against these heroes are, where you have a bat or some type of initiation with the vision provider. I think one of the better ways to play against it is just to have a hero who can kind of bait for the rest of your team and doesn't really worry about getting out of position. I feel like Viper is one of the best heroes to do that with. Something that's really durable and is able to kind of fight back without being able to fight.
The Sven picked up. But we have seen the issue that Immortals ran into in their first series of the day of Sven versus Viper. If the Viper gets a pretty good time in the beginning,
5 seconds remaining,
and he actually gets tanky enough that he's able to have like Hurricane Pike to be able to deal with the Sven and push him away when he first initiates. 1 Viper strike, and that just kind of kills Sven's whole entire deal that he wants to do. And he won't have the best holding for being able to kill multiple heroes either. Because when Immortals had this lineup and they had Sven, they had Puck to be able to lock down multiple heroes and gave Sven a little bit better of an opportunity. Here, we've just got the single lockdown of Batrider, which should definitely ensure an easy kill on 1, but might make it harder for Sven to follow that up.
Turn to ban.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Whatever DC end up picking up at the last hero should come with more disables for sure. Otherwise, Sven is not going to have an easy time. And I think DC should probably ban out a hero like Void. I think Void here would
10 seconds.
Ruin Digital Chaos.
5 seconds remaining. Turn to pick.
I kind of like that. I think it's still a little scary versus Night Stalker and Batrider. But it definitely would set you up for that. If you get like the faster Lincoln's build, maybe something like that.
I mean, I feel like however you build it, you can't exactly always just expect, like, you know, you see a Night Stalker and a Batrider and you immediately assume, okay, we're going to be dealing with the Aghanim Scepter Night Stalker and a Batrider. So,
well, we've seen this before. It happens in NA. The Enchantress, you were talking about the safe lane Enchantress, and I was going to follow that up. We do see Enchantress picked up in NA, sometimes off lane. We've actually seen mid Enchantress, and it's picked up against the Viper as a laning counter to that hero, and ends up being like a really good counter overall to that hero, seeing as Viper likes to be able to keep his distance and usually is pretty tanky, both armor and magic resistance, but the pure damage really cuts him down to size pretty quickly. Mortal's going to go for some sort of carry here, the Bloodseeker. Well, that'll be a hero that's kind of favorable versus Enchantress due to its lockdown and then silence that you can throw out. But being able to, again, try to limit the mobility of this Sven.
Okay, I like this pickup. You know, I suggested the Void, but then I immediately thought to myself, wait a second, that is definitely not a QO hero. So that idea just went out the window.
Yeah.
I definitely did not expect a Bloodseeker, though. But, I mean, I like it.
Mortals, they've already 2-0 Digital Chaos once. That was yesterday in Star Ladder. Can they do it again here in the playoffs of the PGL North American Closed Qualifier? They're 1 game up. You just need to close it out in this second game. But honestly, I don't know about you, Eosin, but I'm kind of preferring Digital Chaos's lineup just because it's, for me, it's a lot simpler. It's a lot more straightforward. You know, you have the Bat Rider Lasso into the Ice Blast or a Sven Initiation. You've got this 1-1 Enchantress versus Viper, which is supposed to be very good for the Enchantress. You've got a Sven that's naturally just going to farm and become the biggest carry in this game. For me, I would put my money on Digital Chaos for this game too.
I don't think I can really argue with you on that one. I think just looking at the draft, it does seem a little easier to execute. Immortals really got their work cut out for them. I think they're really going to need this, their Earthshaker as well as their Nyx to do very well in the early game to set up for their course.
Yeah.
I have not seen a 4Ev Earthshaker yet.
Prepare for battle.
Let's see. I watched a couple of Enigma games of him recently, and he did, honestly, I felt like he struggled when he had to be the kind of like harder initiator. I always feel like Forev does better when he's like almost a damage dealing or like more of a suffocating style offlaner. Like, you know, we saw Esmeralda at TI. We saw recently we've seen like a Venomancer off lane, for example. I thought he did very well on that. I feel like that's usually where he succeeds the most, and less so on the initiators, which is commonly where offlaners kind of make their bread and butter.
That is definitely true. This does not strike me much as a 4F hero, but I'm sure he can play it.
It's going to have the backup of Dubu when it comes to the laning phase if they want to do some sort of dual lane. Mason, well, what is DC doing? What are they doing with their lanes? They're doing something funky again. I don't know what it is, but they seem to have an idea that NP is top. And I guess if it is going to be mid Bloodseeker and you don't get that matchup that you wanted, it's probably better to put the Enchantress into the off lane against the Viper. And they're going to have a mid Bat Rider against Bloodseeker.
All right. Let's see how this works out. I'm pretty sure Bat Rider does really well against the Sven. I mean, not Sven. Bloodseeker, right?
Yeah, I would especially think so with the extra help of the Night Stalker, which should give you a decent amount of kill power if you get a little bit too many sticky napalms, but you never know. If they don't get that kill early, right? The Lich's presence of that sacrifice and draining your experience is going to be pretty hurtful. I think also Lich armor is incredibly good versus Bat Rider right now because most Bat Riders play for right-click damage a lot off of their sticky napalm, and less so off of the Firefly. A lot more of them play for the right-click with Flame Break.
Yeah, that's definitely the case here. QO having 8 stacks on him. Can't be having a good time.
Take a timeout there, QO. Now he's going to start last hitting underneath tower. The Blood Rage should be a little bit easier for him. Bulba coming in. Seeing if he can help out. They've got a lot of sticky napalm going out. MSS is actually dropping pretty low here, but he runs himself into the trees, and that's a good setup for him. He actually put the Blood Rage on MSS. That can't be the right play, because he was definitely not low enough. QO kind of gets Dubu killed a little bit faster and may still be in trouble, in fact, because the healing salve's going off on MSS. They're just going to try and chase down QO underneath this tower, but now Dubu's here. Managed to get the slow onto MSS. MSS does manage to get the aggro off the tower, and QO desperately needing the CS here just to be able to heal himself back up. Otherwise, MSS is going to force him out of lane again.
I think he put the Blood Rage on MSS because he thought that the tower was still hitting him. So he was kind of expecting, you know, him to die there, but clearly not the case here. Just gets Dubu killed, like you said. But that's a very big win for MSS because they are, or he's laning against the Lich, so despite getting that kill, he is still about the same level as it's QO.
Beginning to see the Enchantress start establishing a little bit of dominance against the Viper, but he has had troubles. This is not a simple 1v1. Febby has been in lane this whole entire time, and went for the early mana burn. It's just been draining Mason out. And he's actually completely out of mana. He's going to have to pop a mango for his next round of Nature's Attendance if he wants it.
Well, how is Forev's lane going? Forev's actually getting quite a bit here. Oh, going to go for the stun.
Cold Feet. Is it going to be enough? Not quite. Forev does not get latched down. Back over to mid lane. Just never know when they're going to get enough sticky napalm stacks to go for that kill.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
This would definitely be a pretty straightforward matchup for the Bat Rider if it was 1v1, but Dubu not making it things easy for MSS here. This is Lich plus anything, always a headache to play against.
And then being able to bring the Enchantress low multiple times, I'm sure helps out quite a bit of seeing QO start stacking up a little bit on that thirst. So Mason's got to be careful and trying to keep his HP as high as possible just to help out this mid lane a little bit more. Arcane Rune making things easy for MSS. He's spamming out the sticky napalm now every 2.1 seconds.
Gonna play it safe, run back. Oh, this is a rune you'd be happy about. It's gonna be a haste rune for MSS. So his options gonna be there.
See if they're gonna go for a quick kill here. The silence laid out by QO. They've already thrown down the Void. MS is gonna go for it. Now QO does have actually some thirst charges and does have a little bit of movement speed, but not enough to stay up ahead of a hasted Bat Rider. They're gonna be able to run down QO for sure. Now Dubu's gonna be up next. Lots of stacks is going to be enough to be able to get that kill. Febby completely whiffing out on the stun there. And Digital Chaos overrun the mid lane, managed to pick up 2 kills.
That was the best use you could ask for on a haste rune. MSS going to be out-leveling a Lich lane. Not too often you're going to be seeing that.
Yeah, certainly not.
So
got
do you
even
think
a
this
little bit of stacks on Ancients, too. Go ahead.
So do you think this Enchantress pick is actually worth it against the Viper?
I would say if it's mid, yes. I don't think it's going to be worth it this game, though. Just because it's side lane, he hasn't really been able to establish dominance. Forev's going to go down to the bottom lane, Bulba made a nice little wrap around.
Very nice rotation. I really don't see the effects. Oh, that was close. I really don't see this Enchantress like paying off. It doesn't feel like it's gonna be doing enough once the laning phase ends, because he's supposed to be doing really well against the Viper, and because it is the side lane and with the help of Febby, you know, MP is doing just fine. In fact, he's leading in terms of EXP and farm. So
yeah, and if he doesn't establish a win against the Viper, you hit a little bit of a bump at level 6 where all of a sudden you've got a large amount of magic damage coming from that Viper strike. And if you add in the fact you've got an extra hero there with the Nyx Assassin stun or mana burn, it's going to be made all the worse for this Enchantress. So they almost need to give her a helping hand or switch up the lanes somehow. I mean, maybe Bat Rider at this point in time, now that he's level 5, no. I was going to say maybe he can go to top lane, but no, that wouldn't work. It's still a Viper after all. So I don't know what they do to switch up the lanes to make it a little bit more favorable for all of them. But as of right now, Immortals are winning the laning phase.
I think they're probably okay with how things are going right now. Sven is able to farm. He's got his Mask of Madness at a really good time, and MSS is doing a good job in the mid lane as well. He's going to be on the fast track to a Blink Dagger. You just kind of play it patiently. Oh, top lane though. MP is level 6, and
TP out, slow and steady, not good enough. Mason does manage to make the TP. Oh, mid lane. QO ends up dying to MSS. And that looked pretty much solo. Not even needing lasso, too.
He is by himself, managing to pick up that kill. I mean, MSS is just looking very strong right now. There's not many answers they have for him, especially since QO is not level 6 yet. He is almost level 6, but not quite there yet.
An attempt being made on Forev's life, loops him around the trees. And not going to make it, though. Apparently, that juke probably would have been a little bit more effective just to run back to tower the way that juke ended up working out.
But yeah, overall, DC looking very strong in this laning phase. Sure, you're... Oh, Rupture on Bulba.
Found himself a free kill. Or maybe, maybe not. MSS is here. They could just wait out the Rupture.
Wow, very fortunate for Bulba. Immortals showing a lot of respect to the MSS Bad Rider. Just don't want to deal with it right now, and he's getting closer and closer to that Blink Dagger. So even if Mason isn't, you know, doing the greatest up here, he's gonna have the space to catch up, or just have a very solid team to fight with. You know, Bad Rider is gonna finish the Blink in probably like 3 minutes or so.
Now, this is... I like this timing from both sides, right? They moved the Viper out of that safe lane. Now that Enchantress is level 6. I like this play, but at the same time, I think DC has already kind of made the read, and they've just left Moon Meander to kind of soak experience here, and he is probably going to die to this gank. Nice juke through the trees. That's definitely going to buy him a lot of time here. Cold feet onto MP. They actually are going to try and fight this one. MSS is here now, and maybe it cost him his life, but Moonmander might have just gotten a kill for MSS on the MP. The Viper ends up going down. What a big win for him. Over in the mid lane, they are fighting things out. Bulba, ruptured up, is going to lose his life to Febby and QO, but a two-man stun. Abed is going to try and cleave his way to victory, and will get it too. A kill on Febby makes the trade 1-for-1 on both sides, but I think that's got to be a win for Digital Chaos just because they kill the Viper.
That was really nicely done by Moon there, just to juke his way through the trees, buy as much time as possible, like you said. It's like really important that MSS just continues to have this great game he's been having. The faster you get a Blink Dagger, the easier the game is going to be for them.
And Sven's just full-time jungling. That's what I was going to say, is I love the fact that they just moved Abed out of that safe lane nice and early, because you can farm jungle about just as fast with the Mask of Madness. And you won't be easily susceptible to those ganks. Oh, check out that net worth. Whoa! Big lead from our Sven at 5,700 net worth right now, and clearing through a 2-time Ancient stack. So it's just going to get worse and worse, this lead of his.
Yeah, and while all of this is happening, you know, Forev only just hits level 6. Not going to be seeing a Blink Dagger anytime soon. Febby's still working on that 6 as well. They're going to be giving him the space. I think Immortals are going to be looking to make moves soon, though. Everyone has their abilities up. And Ancient Apparition still isn't 6 yet.
Alright, MSS goes for the easy kill. And Mason has become the big threatening damage dealer now. And they're really just going to start bully down towers, because that's the thing. This core Enchantress, you leave it alone, and it'll start stealing siege creeps or range creeps or whatever it can get its hands on, and it'll take that tower away from you. Just like we saw the Viper rotate out of his safe lane. Next thing you know, a minute later, that tower's gone.
9-2 and 5K net worth lead. This is a pretty significant lead for DC right now.
That
Immortals gonna make
these ganks on Moon Meander are just not working out at all. I don't know what it is about Moon. He must be wearing the right shoes or something, but Immortals just cannot seem to touch him.
And he still is not level 6. He just one creep.
Like that Abed made that read, though. Bunch of heroes bottom lane. Just leaves it. Goes immediately for the fast push onto the mid. Now, Mason is going to be caught here. Actually runs into the rotation from Immortals. Will probably bleed to death here. But it does manage to get them that mid-tier 1 tower. So, still some value in that death for Digital Chaos.
Looks like QO is going to be going for the Midas build. I think this is like pretty much the standard build now, right? People just always go for the farming build.
Yeah, I think so.
Haven't seen too much Bloodseeker in EU and CIS. I think people only pick up this hero when they see a Lycan. Which actually kind of reminds me, how come no one here picked Lycan in these 2 games?
Earlier, we had a Lycan that was really ineffective from... Who was playing a VGJ Storm? They picked up Lycan, but they were playing it into
big engagement here.
Slow down onto Febby. They're going to be able to get that 1 kill, and QO is going to get bounced back into the lasso. Great setup. He got the silence out, but it won't make a damn bit of difference. Immortals are just going to be run over, and it's just a question of how many heroes they'll lose. That magic number will be 3. Dominating streak for MSS. Mason is not actually going to be going a hand of Midas. I thought he was, just to kind of speed along his levels, but he's actually going to pick up some early stats in the drums.
Oh yeah, I thought he was going for Midas as well. Wonder what the Gloves of Haste is for.
Yeah, he probably just changed his mind. I'm sure he was going in at one point.
Maybe something next level, like controlling a bunch of catapults. There was a Na'Vi game I watched. Roger was playing Enchantress, and he basically kept spamming his enchant on multiple catapults, and he had like 4 of them stocked up. Nice. And I was so excited to see them siege top lane. MP gonna go down.
The very dead Viper. That's the thing. I feel like Ancient Apparition is so good against so many of the heroes right now. Viper, Necrophos, even Venomancer, right? Because it helps cut those heroes down by a dramatic amount. Because it can, you know, it's percentage based. So in a way, it's like straight up pure damage, if you want to think about it that way. So when you go on these heroes that usually have very high turnaround potential because they are so tanky, it just doesn't let them get off a single spell when you go on them with that Ice Blast already attached.
Yeah, I think it's like, for some reason, it always feels like it's people drop at higher health or higher than the shatter health threshold for some reason.
Yeah, yeah.
I also have this other theory on why Ancient Apparition is such a great hero. And
Why
the
is
reason
that?
why is because, like you just said, you know, for all the reasons. Oh, hold that thought. Mid lane, MP, gonna get caught out again. You know, Lasso as well as Sven, God Strength. Man, they are just getting run over right now.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's
I don't know when Immortals is going to hit that magic turnaround point this game.
Yeah, I'm feeling that way too. I don't know if A is gonna be, or sorry, not A. If Immortals are gonna have that chance this game. This lead is looking enormous for DC. But back to the AA. I think that AA is actually a really good hero for a lot of different captains because this hero can do a lot without having to do too much mechanically. But you have a lot of time to look around. Oh, QO just TPing in the face. DC gonna go down.
I mean, Immortals just can't seem to catch break. They're not getting any kills. Now that our split pushing is actually surviving, every single time the hero goes for a push, it actually gets caught rather than make that sneaky getaway. Febby just popped his Vendetta on a creep wave. and isn't going to be able to kill any of the creeps. You know, it just gets worse and worse. Worse and worse as he's watching this creep out heal any damage he could possibly do. And he's sitting here going like, what do I do now? I'm dire side, so it's not like I'm anywhere near anywhere I'm supposed to be.
Boba's probably so confused.
This is probably one of the clowniest things I've ever seen you do. And I've seen your Enigma, dude.
He's going to make it out, too. That's the worst part.
Oh, my. Well, you know, Febby's just next level. You know, we just don't understand how good he is in the space he creates. Well played.
All right, if there's a chance for them to make a play here, this is it. Okay, 4F has the Blink Dagger. This is your only hope. They have the Blink Dagger, they have Chain Frost, they have everything. Try to make some trades happen.
It all rests on one man. Frev
all right, here we
bouncing
go.
himself along. They're going to go for the smoke. Are they going to bring QO along? Is QO going to hit a creep wave and TP back? What's he going to do? They seem to have this thing where they don't bring QO, and he always TPs and shows up a little bit late to the... Oh, no. I mean, at this point, you're just cheering for Immortals just to kill one thing before this game ends. You know, just let them get one small win on the board before you shut them out.
They're thinking about it. They're going to go in anyways, it seems. I mean, they got to go soon, though.
MP on the front lines here. The silence gives a lot of vision. MSS trying to find any heroes and does manage to clip Forev, stopping any blink initiation. And QO's kind of an awkward place. Fisher goes out. Not really a whole lot doing there. MSS, Blood Rage up, is going to lose his life very quickly, and they do manage to get the Shrine. A lot of these heroes are low, too. With the Bloodseeker healing up, he could come back into this fight with big damage, but they've already taken Forev in the back lines, and QO's movement speed is a little lackluster. Bulba does not have a TP to get out of things, but he does have phase boots. Nighttime darkness is actually here. So Bulba will get away. He's going to get greedy, gets an invis rune. He'll be good, though.
I mean, that's still a huge win for Immortals. They take 2, only lose 1, still hold on to the Echo Slam, and the best part is they managed to kill Roshan.
How did they do that?
Bloodseeker Bloodright actually got the last hit. So they are very lucky in that regard.
All right. It's the little things in life.
It's a start. But Abed is holding on to that Aegis, so they got a big tool to work with. Gonna have to wait and see what they decide to do with it, though.
Okay, so the BKB. How much does that change, Yosin? How much can the BKB impact things for the Bloodseeker?
I'm going to go ahead and say that it doesn't really do too much.
You don't think so?
A lot of it,
not against Bat and Enchantress?
So. The way I feel it works out is like there's enough physical damage that Sven is going to kill Kyo anyways. So in order for QO to become really effective with his BKB, comes down to his teammates' ability to initiate and get everyone low enough to make him useful.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. Doob is gonna die. It's like he would have to, with this BKB, challenge all the heroes that are not Sven. And it's very hard to be able to get that kind of positioning when you're the one who doesn't have map control, doesn't have better vision because of Night Stalker, and won't have better initiation most likely because of the vision and the way Batrider works. So it's going to be really difficult for him to be able to play into Digital Chaos when they're the ones initiating and somehow work around the Sven to kill, you know, the Enchantress or the Batrider.
It is definitely going to be tough. Some teams, they are very patient with this type of play. They know, like, against the Night Stalker, you're not going to stand a chance in the nighttime as well as with darkness. And there's those little tiny windows where you can make those plays, and maybe Immortals can wait for it.
They do see the Enchantress bottom lane, so Forev doing everything he can to be able to stop Abed from keep going, but the BKB plus the Ice Blast is going to take him out before he can get the Echo Slam down, and QO hasn't done anything really. He's going to finally finish up MSS, after the lasso, and the Chain Frost is bouncing around pretty heavily. If he could actually hit Abed, that'd be great, but it doesn't at all. He's only going to be slowed down by the Viper Strike. They're trying to kite him around. MP has to go for the TP out. Can he make it out before the cold feet? He does. He manages to get the TP away, so they trade the Earthshaker and the Nyx Assassin for a kill on the Bat Rider. But that was also the first 10-second BKB charge from QO. And it did not feel like a game-changing team fight, that's for sure.
I'm really surprised they decided to fight, even though they know that there is an Aegis on Sven. And Sven is still holding on to that Aegis. And you kind of saw there, you know, he has a BKB, but it really doesn't do anything if Forev isn't able to get the jump on them. No one's actually, you know, low enough in terms of health, and he's just kind of standing in one place. Well, obviously he was standing in one place. He got lassoed by the Bat Rider.
Mm-hmm. All right, so no Hurricane Pike, which is a little bit concerning for me that MP isn't able to get this item, but it seems like he has to go Heaven's Halberd first.
Febby scalps him out. Are Immortals thinking about doing something here?
Vision-wise, Digital Chaos are still kind of okay. They've got like the Siege Wagon on the side. They do manage to take away the wards from Immortals. Febby's going for the Courier. He's feeling it, but so is Digital Chaos, apparently. So they throw the Courier into the trees.
Aegis should be running out momentarily.
Smoke up from DC as the Aegis expires. DC apparently not shying away from a fight, even though they don't have that extra life. The initiation is there. MSS manages to grab MP, pulls him straight into Abed, but Abed actually got stunned up. Now MP's on the high ground here, up against Mason. He's doing a lot of kiting for Abed. They're going to be able to slow him down. QO tries to challenge, but a BKB activated by Abed makes things a whole lot harder. MP will eventually die on the cliff here, and Abed, Rupture, about to wear out, blinks forward now, blinks backwards actually, and IMT, Immortals try and control things up. They do manage to kill the Bat Rider finally. QO plates away from the Sven as much as possible. A stun on the Bulba. Forev knows he's dead. He's just trying to get damage out if possible, but not gonna happen. 3 down from Immortals. And again, all they get out of it is one hero, and this time it's the Bat Rider.
That was some great map movement from DC. They did the unexpected. You know, it's like you said, if you don't have Aegis, usually you kind of back away, but they understand that they are in the lead even without the secondary life. You know, not afraid to take a team fight. And that was a great initiation. That Viper being pulled onto the high ground, and if the Viper's up there, that Sven doesn't have to worry about getting Viper Strike. Does have to worry about the Rupture though.
Yeah, they've got plenty of ways to limit the Sven's movement, but they're really just lacking on the hard initiation on all these other heroes. Because they can stop Sven all they want, but if they're not killing the surrounding cast, if they're not killing 4 of the other heroes during that Rupture timing, then it's not really much to say. You know, they got to get some work done, and that's where Forev has just struggled to find initiation. And some of it's not his fault, right? It's a Bat Rider Night Stalker. It's a Vision duo that is very tough to beat.
Yeah, it really is. And Immortals, they're going to move out of the base again. Do they have a smoke? They don't have a smoke. No Echo for another 50 either. Kind of surprised to see them making these aggressive movements.
I think more than anything, they probably just don't want their farm to stall.
It's true. It's like one of those, you rather go try and do something rather than wait to lose.
That's where QO takes an adventure outside the base all the way to the Radiant side. Find some fresh farm. None of that recycled neutral crap for him. He's going to be able to find himself some free range creeps and try and finish up that Radiance. Oh, Febby gets the bounce back stun onto Abed, but there is going to be MSS there with the Firefly. They go for the Rupture on Abed, but with the Nyx Assassin already down and them being so close to Radiance, I can't imagine they take this fight.
Viper is, or MP is going to be rushing the Halberd instead of finishing the Hurricane Pike. I actually kind of think that Hurricane Pike might have been the better option here, but it's a little too late to turn that decision around.
And it's tough to see how the Viper of all heroes is going to be able to get the Halberd off before the BKB. You know, like, what is that situation look like? Like, in my head, it's like the Echo Sam, they initiate on the Sven, they halberd him, but surely if you're going to disable the Sven in any way, aren't you just going to rupture him? Or Viper strike him? Aren't you just going to control him through other means rather than the halberd? Maybe he's thinking about the Enchantress with this disarm. I don't, again, I'm not sure how he gets to the Enchantress, seeing as she's so far in the back most of the time, but I'm with you there. I feel like the Hurricane Pike would be a little bit better. The mobility would certainly help out his allies in some of these initiations, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, the item itself still provides quite a bit to him, right? 25% evasion, a lot of life, and 25 damage, so...
Yeah, that's true.
It's still a solid item.
The evasion definitely could make a world of difference. And DC have been pretty fearless when it comes to going on a Viper. They don't really seem to care too much because they've killed Viper so many times in the early game that he just hasn't made that transition in items, the idealized items that we were talking about before, which is Hurricane Pike and already having the Heaven's Halberd, and then looking at armor from there.
Well, he is going to be slowly making his way towards that Hurricane Pike, but it's starting to feel like by the time he gets there, it might be a little too late. We're going to have to wait and see if they are going to be able to make it to that point. I think one really cool thing I'm seeing from Immortals is that they are giving a lot of priority to Febby to farm up right now, because I think they're kind of hoping that if they give him enough space to farm this Aghanim Scepter, they can potentially delay the game long enough for them to come back.
Meanwhile, Digital Chaos with an iron grip on this game. Take Roshan. And they're going to run straight through their own jungle. Again, they have a pretty good, solid idea of what's supposed to be happening. Febby, go for the Midas Plate! Got it. Worth it.
He knows.
Out too.
All right. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it's not all that bad. It does give the rest of his team a little bit of time to farm, but if Keo gets picked off here, it'll be all for naught.
Pushed forward by Bulbs. Leading with the gem, taking away all the vision from Immortals. So close to that Radiance. Again, they're going to need some serious miss percentage procs, not just on that Heaven's Halberd evasion, but also the Radiance miss chance.
That's the kind of thing that worries me for Immortals, right? I mean, it's the same thing with the Black King bar. You pick it up, and I just feel like these items that keep coming in don't exactly amount to too much. It definitely helps, but I don't feel that game-changing impact that some items have for certain heroes.
Yeah. And it's hard to see how they will ever have that kind of impact, just because this lineup, Bloodseeker and Viper, these are heroes that are not supposed to be stuck inside their base at 30 minutes, you know?
Well, they're going to have a chance to fight here. See if they manage to hold on to this. I think there shouldn't really be any buybacks. Do they have any buybacks? Not a single buyback on Immortal side. So this is looking like, you know, the only chance they have.
Now, I've seen this movie a couple times from Immortals. Stuck inside their base. Doesn't feel like they should be able to win the game. And they turn it around on high ground defenses. But I think Digital Chaos have been super careful about going high ground against Immortals just for that reason. Just because this is a team so renowned for one thing, which is their team fighting capabilities. Pushing into high ground, which naturally puts you at a disadvantage anyway, is kind of a tough task. So I feel like DC has secured themselves more of a strategic win by spending so much time controlling the map and farming, and now they're doing something that is relatively risk-free, which is pushing high ground with an Aegis. Not really committing too much, just letting one hero try for it. Now they find their initiation on MP with the God Strength already out. On to Abed. They're going to bring down MP super fast, especially with the Cold Feet locking him down. But Abed is in a bit of trouble. He's been ruptured up. He's going to try and run down Febby. Not give it a damn about the rupture because he's got that extra life. And now Mortals are running out of firepower. The last thing they really have left in their kit here is going to be this Echo Slam. But I'm not sure where they're going to make their initiation. Abed drops a little bit lower. First life, gone. Now it's a question whether or not Immortals can take life number 2. Missed. A Fissure. Quick blink out from Abed does manage to get him out of that sticky situation.
They're going to reset. Doesn't look like they're going to commit.
I mean, if you want to be ultra safe, if you're DC, do you wait for next Roshan?
I think it's less to do with Roshan, but more to do with the fact that there is no darkness as well as nighttime, so that's probably the bigger thing limiting them from actually taking this objective. Well, they do manage to hold on to that Echo Slam still. Only committing a Chain Frost. And once again, you know, the Radiance pickup just not really showing its worth, just like the BKB pickup.
Well, there's going to be a pretty effective BKB pickup. The Bat Rider can play a little bit more fearlessly when it comes to dealing with the Nyx Assassin or Earthshaker. Doesn't have to worry about that counter initiation when he grabs somebody. And again, we saw the way that they grabbed the Viper. Did not care if it was a Viper of all heroes. He is just too low down on his luck, honestly. Like, he is too poor to be able to stand toe-to-toe against these heroes. And without the Viper, everyone else on Immortals just looks so squishy.
And the scary thing was they lassoed the Viper, and Viper, he's got 2.7k life, he's got 25 armor, he's got evasion, and he still dropped very quickly. So things are looking very grim for Immortals right now.
What do you think about this different? We always see, excuse me, we always see QL when he goes for his Sven. He goes for the Daedalus, and I've seen so many other Svens go for the Bloodthorn build. What are your thoughts on the differences between the two?
I think if you don't have to deal with evasion, just going for that pure damage is a safer route, because you know all it takes is one crit and you delete a hero. Whereas this Bloodthorn, it's a safer choice when you're up against heroes who end up picking evasion up, which is very common nowadays. A lot of heroes prefer picking up the Heaven's Halberd or the Solar Crest, so having the Bloodthorn kind of opens up your
go Abed. 800 damage a swing. Just wallops on that tier 3 tower, brings down the melee racks before Immortals are really in a position to be able to contest. Now, Abed just blinked himself forward with the Rupture still on him, but he's also close enough that they're right next to the high ground as well as the heal from the Enchantress, so they're able to get away scot-free just before the Nyx Assassin had his Aghanim Scepter, too. He was so close to it before.
Well, they lose one set of racks, but they still have ways to fight against one lane of racks. Let's see if they can make anything happen with this Nyx Assassin Scepter. This is their greatest hope, in my opinion.
DC, take the Shrine. Are they going to go for the initiation? MSS, you could tell, he's kind of thinking about it. He's got the BKB blink. He's got a lasso. Oh, they're going to take the easier kill. Febby. It's a bit outside of his base and totally alone. Oh! Didn't even need to pop the BKB. Apparently, MSS managed to grab him without the fire touching. An Ice Blaster finish him off. No buyback either for the Nyx Assassin, so Digital Chaos can, once again, feel pretty secure in going high ground.
I'm really surprised that, that thought, they're just going straight in. Oh, the Echo doesn't even connect.
Abed is just tearing MP up. The Bloodthorn finishes him off, goes for QO next. Easily takes him out with the help of Mason, who's dealing in the artillery damage from the back lines. Puts back 3. QO with his buyback is just going to die again, and that will be game. Game number 2 closed out real well by Digital Chaos. Game 1 was all back and forth and team fight after team fight. But DC, they just made a bit of a statement, I think, with this game 2.
That was really well played by DC. They were very in control, starting from the laning phase all the way up until the very end. They played it very carefully, didn't want to slip up, much like the first game. And like you said, making a statement, gonna not mess around, just play some safe Dota.
That statement is that they are going to be the team that moves on to the PGL North American Qualifier into the finals. But will that statement be true? We're going to take a break and find out in game number 3. Don't go anywhere.